So it's finally time that the next generation of consoles are here, and we're starting to see companies make their big push towards making their games as high quality as possible. Infinity Ward is the company that's going to get to drive its franchise headfirst with Call of Duty Ghosts, so let's see how the game fares on PC and see if it's an improvement over Treyarch's Black Ops 2.
He expressed warnings to others of a force so menacing and unbeatable, it could only be described as supernatural. He called them ghosts.
Call of Duty Ghosts takes place apart from Modern Warfare in its own personal story. You play as one of two brothers that find themselves witnessing the beginnings of World War III when South America unites under one banner called the United Federation. Skip ahead 10 years and you find that you, your brother, and your new dog Riley are border patrol for the US military, walking the walls of one of the few safe havens left in the United States. This is where the story actually had grounds to be something interesting that could potentially put Call of Duty on the map for having a decent story. But unfortunately that ends quite rapidly, as the game quickly does whatever it can to avoid any sort of character development or even emotion as the story plays out. Riley, your dog, is about the most uninteresting dog I've ever seen in video game history, and you only see him for about 30 minutes at most throughout the entire game. You won't care about anyone, and you won't care why you're fighting the war. And even the ghosts that are supposed to be these super amazing, better than tier 1 operatives that these two characters look up to, simply become cliched, sociopathic, suicidal, and unstealthy knobheads in the story. There is absolutely nothing mysterious about them. Nothing at all. If they only stuck to how the story began after the 10-year skip, Ghosts could have been a real thriller, rather than a B-movie popcorn flick.
2, 1, push!
So I'll admit, when Infinity Ward said that Call of Duty Ghosts would run at a native resolution of 720p on an Xbox One upscaled to 1080p, I was expecting something that would just wreck my machine, and then some. But after about that 50 gigabyte install, and then I cranked up the graphics to maximum, I began to notice something. The game looks just like Black Ops 2 on PC. What's worse is that it's a complete downgrade, for all the PC options are limited. No FOV slider, meaning the game is locked at 65 FOV, whereas Black Ops had up to 80 FOV from the start and then later patched to 90 FOV. You also will be playing in 720p or lower if you don't increase the image quality to extra, which is the maximum setting. But why can't you just set the game to 1080p and have it run in 1080p? It boggles my mind. Also, the game is hard locked to 90 FPS, which means sorry to anyone that has a 120Hz monitor. The game menus are also terribly optimized and buggy, with plenty of stuttering and annoyances that are, for the most unforeseeable reason, if you turn off your Steam friends list or you go offline, then you won't have any problems with the stuttering. It makes no sense. Not only that, but the actual gameplay itself is so poorly optimized that it sits below 60 FPS almost all the time, and that's not just on my machine. Even Total Biscuit's Nvidia Titans that are 6 gigabyte beasts were not able to keep this game running above 60 frames per second. You know, it's no wonder Infinity Ward wasn't able to make this game 1080p on the Xbox One. You know, it's not actually the fact that the Xbox One can't handle the game after all. It's because they don't know how to make a good, properly optimized game. Textures are bad across the board. They still look like a modified Quake engine, which they used in their previous title. And oh, did I mention that there's bugs too? Plenty of that as well. Riley gets stuck on walls all the time, and even my weapons optics for some reason in the single player campaign just glitched out. I couldn't see like half the screen. I had to turn off the game and turn it back on to fix it. If this is the next generation experience, this certainly isn't it.
Crank. SATCOM uplink enabled.
So did Infinity Ward, the company that believes all of its work is so perfect and it's a masterpiece, change anything about Call of Duty Ghosts? Well, if you look at the differences between Modern Warfare 3, their previous game, and Ghosts, then yes, it is an improvement. But if you look at Treyarch's Black Ops 2 and Ghosts, it's extremely minor. When creating a character, you can choose if they are male or female, which I honestly don't know why females aren't even in modern military shooters these days. It's surprising that this is the first game to actually do that. But anyway, with each new character you create, it's like a brand new prestige, meaning you can prestige at the beginning of the multiplayer if you so choose. And customization, though, is pretty limited as well, with not too much that you can do from changing their face and what they're wearing and all that kind of stuff, which is a little unfortunate. Other games have done a much better job. The more important stuff, however, though, is the Pick 10 system is back from Black Ops 2 and is in full force here, and after you kill your fellow man in multiplayer, you'll earn squad points to unlock your new perks, weapons, attachments, gadgets, and more. This is by far much better than having to level up to whatever level to get your favorite weapon in the game, allowing you to get it basically at around level 3. One thing I really dig is the ability to have no main gun or secondary gun, since a lot of the times I'll never even get the chance to use my pistol anyway, freeing up a point for me to use on other things like bigger main guns or perks. But apart from the ability to play as a female character and to be able to customize a bit of how you look in the game, there's nothing really all that much different here than in Black Ops 2. One thing that I've always liked about the Call of Duty series, however, is the game mode variety. Ghost features a lot of the old stuff like Kill Confirmed, Free For All, and Team Deathmatch, as well as Ground War and the pre-order bonus map playlist. But new to the series are ones like Cranked, where when you kill someone, you'll become cranked, moving twice as fast, but are timed to explode after 30 seconds if you don't kill again. I feel like this mode is perfect for people like me who die often enough that the threat of exploding is much less of a worry than being shot in the face. Then there's Blitz, an interesting game type where each team must have at least one member get to the enemy team's point on the map while defending their own. You gain 1 point for every time someone steps over it, and it makes good use of the sliding mechanic that I personally loved using in Crysis 2 and 3. Infected probably the worst of the new editions, where games like Halo 4 and Left 4 Dead know how to make a game mode like that interesting. Ghost pretty much makes it near impossible for the zombies to do much of anything, with all survivors grouping up in one spot of the map and gunning down the zombies no problem. Lastly, there's Hunted. Hunted has all players start on an even playing field with one mag of ammo for their pistol, a couple knives, and somewhat of a poison gas. Players have to get to care packages that land on the map that will get them a random weapon for an edge on the battlefield. The maps are not the greatest though, and it makes for playing on them kind of a bore after the first or second play session. Unlike Battlefield 4, where the maps are large and massively vertical, Ghost seems to lack much of that needed flair. The game also supports matchmaking with up to 12 players for most game types, Ground War being the largest with up to 18 players. And yes, that's right, I said matchmaking. Those that want to have low ping games won't find that here. Also, the problem with having 18 players is the fact that the maps are so small that you'll probably end up dying almost immediately after spawning. I recommend sticking to the smaller game modes for a better time. Extinction mode is Ghost's attempt at making a zombies mode. The biggest issue with it right off the bat is the fact that all my keys to use any of the special items were unbound, and that'll be the same for everyone else. As for why they are unbound right at the start, your guess is as good as mine. In Extinction, you run around the map with a drill trying to destroy random alien hives. If you look around, you'll find guns to purchase and attachments hidden in pools of garbage. Although it can be fun on the first go, it becomes tedious and less satisfying than games that actually do 4-player co-op well. Then there's Squads mode, where you can compete with other players' AI teams, which can make for some great practice. I also found that the artificial intelligence on squads to be even more challenging than actual players at times, which is kinda great. Lastly, let's talk about the campaign. The game is almost entirely a visual set piece like Battlefield 4's was. Sure, there's killing stuff, and when that happens, it's fun. It really legitimately is. But the majority of the game is follow the leader, don't shoot unless you're told to, don't open that door, oh, don't open that door, man. Oh wait, sorry, I actually forgot. Your character lacks the actual ability to open doors in the game. You kind of have to wait for someone to walk on by after their scripted event and open the door slowly for you, walk through first so then you can walk in after them and continue following them down the line. It's infuriating and boring, and I don't like it at all.
Kick, we've reached the south vault door. It's a big one.
Also, yeah, you can control Riley in some of the most scripted sequences where even you're being told exactly what to do, and if you don't do it, you'll get killed because the game doesn't want you to actually make any logical and thought-out decisions. The game doesn't trust you to know what you're doing and must at all times tell you what to do because, God forbid, you get lost down those narrow, linear corridors in the finest corridor shooting ever was. Does no one know how to make a single-player campaign in a modern military setting? Is it impossible these days? Or did that just die and end with Spec Ops: The Line? And you know what the most disappointing thing is? The game is 4.5 hours. I checked the time of my recordings and it was all throughout the beginning to the end of the game. It's 4.5 hours. $100 million went into this game. $100 million. And what did it go into? Because it definitely didn't go onto the PC port. I can tell you that for a fact. Black Ops 2 had support for esports. You could actually watch replays. You could slow down the replays. You could look at the replays. You could watch anyone that was on screen. And they basically took the game. Infinity Ward took Treyarch's game, ripped out all the things that were actually good about it. Specifically, one of the most important things, which is actually a good PC port, and said, you know what? Let's resell it and say that this game is better. It's not.
Rose out of the desert sand. They were like hunters that couldn't be seen, using stealth their enemies couldn't defend against.
From nearly every angle that you look at Call of Duty Ghosts, it is about as iterative as it gets. Actually, it's not iterative. It goes backwards a bit and falls flat on its ass, crying out for attention. Infinity Ward appears to lack the know-how to make a good PC port, and they have proven it time and time again with Modern Warfare 2 and 3. The story is overall poor, the game is terribly optimized with low texture quality across the board with frame stutters left and right on good machines, on normal machines like mine, and even then, you have to fight with the game even to get it working properly. With that said, I simply cannot recommend picking up this title for the PC. This is not the next-gen title you are looking for. Call of Duty Ghosts gets a 2 out of 5. Well, that was a disappointing mess of a game. If you want a better Call of Duty experience, I recommend pick up Black Ops 2. Treyarch actually knows how to make good PC ports. Or better yet, get Battlefield 4. It's by far one of the best looking games and best playing first person shooters on the PC, and it even has close quarters battle maps, so if you're looking for that, it's there for you. Anywho, be sure to let me know what's your favorite first-person shooter of all time. Could it be the original Call of Duties and Battlefields, or maybe it's one of the old-school titles like Doom? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Akabane101, and I'll see you next time.